We are right now at Air Force Station Chandigarh, which is witnessing a historic moment of the retirement of the MiG-21 fleet, the two squadrons that will be number plated on 26th of September. And last few sorties are being witnessed here in a grand ceremony. And this will be a page which Indian Air Force is turning a historical page where it will not only remember the 60 years of grand service to the nation by MiG-21s, but also Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the Indian Air Force Chief, along with 6 former air chiefs, the CDS, the chiefs from the Army and the Indian Navy will be witnessing this remarkable ceremony along with the veterans that have served with the MiG-21. A majestic flypast is marking the culmination of MiG-21 squadrons, and this is the Panther formation, and the Air Chief Marshal AP Singh, he will be leading these formations, the Badal formation and the Panther formation, which will show the endurance, the glory and the power of MiG-21s even after being in service for 6 long decades. So this is how the Badal formation and the Panther formation in the skies are marking the culmination ceremony of the MiG-21s of the Indian Air Force. Bidding farewell to the longest serving workhorse of the Indian Air Force is not easy, and this is an emotional moment. To celebrate this with a mark of respect, we see a grand ceremony where we see the air warriors holding this drill. This not only shows the kind of respect and dignity the MiG-21s hold with the Air Force, but also the kind of precision, the skill, the discipline and the Valour which goes with the MiG-21s, which have been a part of the most remarkable operations of the Indian Air Force, starting from 1965 to Operation Sindoor recently in 2025. So these are the air warriors who are celebrating the culmination of the MiG-21s. What we are witnessing right now is the combat in the air, and this is the dogfight in which MiG-21 and Jaguars are in the air, and this is the aerial combat which has been very important because, in 2019, Group Captain Abhinandan Vardhaman, he had hit one of the Pakistani fighters in a similar dogfight using the MiG-21, though he lost his own craft and he ejected safely and in Pakistan, and he returned as a hero. So this is the capability of MiG-21s, where in a dogfight mission they are always victorious, and they have not only killed the F-16s, they have killed the F-series crafts in earlier battles. Also in 1971, a bomb was dropped by MiG-21 in Dhaka, that time's East Pakistan, and that was the turning point of that war. So this is how the MiG-21s are showcasing their capability, even as when they are bidding a farewell, bidding a goodbye to the forces. They are capable, they are strong, their endurance speaks volumes of the air operations they've been into. And this is the dogfight that has been portrayed out here. A mission in which MiG-21 and Jaguars are in a combat in the skies, and these have been some of the operations of the MiG-21s where they have been the defenders of the skies and always turned victorious in such dogfights. These are the last few sorties and the last few landings of the MiG-21s, the workhorses that have remained in action for the longest period of time. And in Chandigarh, we are witnessing this historical moment where Indian Air Force is turning a page of history and now bidding goodbye to MiG-21s after uncountable operations in 60 years. This is the tribute by the Surya Kiran aerobatic teams to the MiG-21s, the longest serving horses of the Indian Air Force. And here, different formations not only show the discipline, but the coordination, the skill of these pilots who train relentlessly to be in these formations up in the sky so that every Indian is proud of the Indian Air Force. And this is the time when the Surya Kiran team is paying a tribute to the MiG-21s for their service to the nation in last 6 decades, right from 1965 to the Operation Sindoor, the longest serving fighters ever in the world. And more than 60 countries have been using MiG-21s, but the way India has utilized the operations where India has used MiG-21s is exemplary. And this is how Indian Air Force's courage, Indian Air Force's Valour has been growing with MiG-21 service. This is the majestic water cannon salute to the MiG-21s for their services. And this has been the tradition of the Indian Air Force, not only on the induction of a new aircraft, but when an aircraft retires, this is how the Indian Air Force bids them goodbye. This is the final salute to the MiG-21s, the water cannon salute, where the MiG-21s are majestically on the runway and they are being saluted with this tradition of water cannons. Thank you, gratitude and salute for all the valor, all the courage and all the operations for the Indian nation and the Indian Air Force. So this is the water cannon salute which you see behind me for the MiG-21s on the occasion of the culmination of their services. This is an emotional moment where the services of the MiG-21, its defensive power, its operation capability and uncountable operations have now been into the history. And this is how a tribute has been paid to these MiG-21s with a special water cannon salute. This is not an easy farewell for those who have served with the MiG-21s, for those who have been associated with the MiG-21s, and even for the country and the Indian Air Force to say goodbye to these workhorses who have been a part of operations for the longest time. MiG-21s have received a tribute in form of the water cannon salute, and now they will be number plated and a part of history. What you see here is the handing over of the Form 700, that is the document or the logbook of the services by MiG-21. And this is the termination of services, the culmination of services by MiG-21 when this Form 700 has now been handed over. And this is how the retirement of aircraft happens. So MiG-21's Form 700 is being handed over to the Chief Guest, to the Raksha Mantri by the Chief of Air Staff. And this brings an end to the chapter full of valor, courage and glory of MiG-21s in the Indian Air Force. On the historic occasion of the culmination of the services by MiG-21s, I am joined by not only the fighter pilot of MiG-21 but also the spokesperson of the Indian Air Force, Wing Commander Jaideep Singh. Sir, a very warm welcome on India Today.
Thank you, sir.
How do you feel this is an emotional moment, especially for a pilot who's been a part of MiG-21?
See, it's not only a personal emotional moment, but also for all the pilots who've flown. Veterans will be here. They are all participating wholeheartedly with families. They're coming in for this aircraft which has served the Indian Air Force for 60 years. It has been part and parcel of their life. Their service life has gone flying this aircraft, maintaining this aircraft or being with this aircraft. Somehow it has touched all the lives in the Indian Air Force.
So this happens to be one of the most momentous retirement ceremonies. Tell us about the ceremony, what all it includes.
So the ceremony is the tribute to this aircraft which has served for 62 years. In this ceremony, there will be a MiG-21 flypast. Rather, there will be two flypasts. Aircraft will be flying in VIC formation. The call sign will be Badal, in which the Chief of Air Staff will also be flying. And Badal was also the name of MiG-21. And the second formation of MiG-21 will be Panther formation. So total 6 aircraft will be flying. And escorting the Panther formation will be 2 LCAs, wherein the MiG-21s will fly past the dais and the LCAs will take over. This signifies also that the LCA is taking over from MiG-21 in its role. It was the way it was incepted as a MiG-21 replacement.
Sir, if you could tell us about a few significant operations of the MiG-21s over 60 years.
So MiG-21 has participated in all the operations starting from 1965, 1971, Operation Safed Saga, then at Balakot and as late as Operation Sindoor. Covering some of the most notable of MiG-21 was the governor's residence over Dhaka, where 57 mm RPs were brought down on the governor's residence, and which led to hastening of process, and finally Pakistani army surrendering with 93,000 POWs, and as late as Balakot, where Abhinandan had taken down an F-16. So the MiG-21 was punching much above its weight when it came to the aircraft of that class.
So one last question that's coming to every mind, that what will happen of these with these aircraft who have been now retired?
See, these aircraft which are there, they are already, if you see the aircraft which have already retired, like the MiG-27, MiG-23s and the older versions of MiG-21 which were there, they are already in some part being part of museums or schools. There is a process, we follow that process based on certain criteria. These aircraft are brought in the bare shell and they are planted in these specific areas where it can be given their due.
We'll be missing these MiG-21s.
I for sure will be missing this MiG-21. I've flown this aircraft, and I can say that the emotion resonates in all the veterans who will be coming their day after. And if the aircraft was a person for after 62 years of it going down, I'm sure it would have its own emotions.
I can understand. Thank you so much, sir, not only for the service with the aircraft but also for speaking to us. So Wing Commander Jaideep Singh is emotional and is telling about the history which is full of operations that not only kept every Indian's head high with pride and valor but also marks a significant journey in operational years of MiG-21.
I mean, if you look at it, in many ways, the MiG-21 is what has defined the Indian Air Force for a very large period of time. Having a service span of 60 years is, more than 60 years is no mean feat. Having been inducted in 1963 and now in 2025, it is retiring, and through this time period, not only has it taken part in all operations that India has been a part of, but it has also been instrumental in training a lot of pilots to become fighter pilots. So there's an entire generation, in fact generations of fighter pilots who become fighter pilots because of this particular aircraft. So in a lot of ways you can say that the Indian Air Force has been defined by the MiG-21 for a very long period of time. Of course, being a platform of a certain time frame, of a certain generation, times have changed, newer aircraft have come in, they are slowly replacing this it's a natural process. Change is the only thing which is constant, they say, is change. So yeah, it's a natural process, but we cannot forget the legacy of this aircraft and the role which this aircraft has played as far as the Indian Air Force and the country as a whole is concerned.
So now the new generation aircraft, including the Tejas, they will be replacing the MiG-21s?
Yeah, I mean, if you remember correctly, the Tejas was envisaged to be the replacement for the MiG-21. And yeah, so that is on paper the replacement. As far as the numbers are concerned, we'll see what happens.
India Today is getting you this exclusive ground report from Chandigarh, where the MiG-21s are bidding goodbye to the nation after a long service of 6 decades. Inducted in 1963, MiG-21s have been a part of glorious operational journey and various operations, starting from 1965 war, the 1971 India-Pakistan war, 2019 when Group Captain Abhinandan hit and killed the F-16 of Pakistan in a dogfight, which has been a significant part of the operations by the MiG-21s, and recently in Operation Sindoor, these workhorses have proved their mettle yet again. And MiG-21s have been the longest serving fighters for the Indian Air Force. They were inducted in 1963 and they are still serviceable and also fight ready. They are war ready planes, but because the technology is now getting old, they have to be replaced with the new generation fighter jets, and that's why the last 2 squadrons are being number plated. And in Chandigarh, the first squadron, the Supersonics, was raised in 1963. And that's why Chandigarh has been chosen to be a witness of the goodbyes to the MiG-21s. In this glorious ceremony, the water cannon salute and the tribute by the veterans, by the Defence Minister, by the CDS, the Chief of Air Staff, by flying a sortie in Badal formation remains the most memoryful event of the ceremony, most memorable event of the ceremony, and that's how we are also being a part of this journey of MiG-21's retirement in Chandigarh. Our final salute to these workhorses who have always filled the Indians with pride, not only for the Indian Air Force but for the pilots of MiG-21s. This is Shivani Sharma with camera person Prem Chand for India Today in Chandigarh.